Hey guys, I'm Hellhound, and time was finally here to do our Q&A video that we talked about. And I know I promised that I said that the deadline was going to be tomorrow, the 5th. But I have so much to do tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a really busy day, so I don't think I'll have time to get to a video. And I doubt I'm really going to get any questions in between now and it's really late tonight anyway. It's still the 4th. I said the cutoff date was the 5th, but I doubt I'll be getting any questions in between now and tomorrow morning anyway. So let's go ahead and do this thing. I think this will be a fun, kind of more interactive way for my fans, the viewers, to get to know me, and for me to get to know them as well. Maybe probably the highlight of doing these videos is this discussions with you guys in the comments. I get a lot of questions all day, and I love answering them. I love talking to you guys about horror movies and heavy metal and all kinds of great stuff. That's actually the highlight for me for doing this channel. That's actually my favorite part. It's kind of the highlight of my day too, talking with you guys, having some great, awesome discussions. And some of you I've got to know real well. We've exchanged Facebook information, even phone numbers, and so some of you have become like a pretty big part of my life, pretty good friends. And the thing is. About like friends in real life, the thing is like it's really hard to find somebody with a lot in common, like an in person. Like I could go out in this town, I might find somebody who knows like who listens to like the Black Album by Metallica, maybe knows like Paranoid and Iron Man for Black Sabbath, and maybe they like the Saw series or the Scream movies. That's about the extent of it. Oh, there's a few exceptions, like my buddies Dr. Guts and Dark Wolf and Spellbinder and several others. There are people I've met in person who have a lot of common interests, but usually it's on the internet where I find, for like message boards and forums, I find, people who have like, they have like twice as many horror movies as I have. Their collection puts mine to shame, and I have all these autographs and stuff. So you can find pretty much anything on the internet. I remember growing up, I thought I was kind of a weirdo. I thought I was a freak because I didn't know so many people were into this sort of thing. So the internet's really brought us all closer together in a big way. So, but anyway, let's get started with this thing. The first question, John Lives wants to know, who are your favorite comedians? He actually asked me a bunch of questions, but the first thing he asked was, who are your favorite comedians? Well, I'm a huge fan of Abbott and Costello. Getting tongue-tied already. We're already 2 minutes in. Laurel and Hardy, the Three Stooges, of course. I also love Cheech and Chong, and I like a lot of the 80s comedians like Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, people like that, Belushi, of course, Chris Farley, John Candy, Sam Kinison, Eddie Murphy, also Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was huge in the 90s. I thought 90s comedy was really well done. And Jim Carrey was kind of the king of in the 90s. Like, he was like the most well-known comedian. I don't like a lot of modern comedy. I'm not really a fan of Adam Sandler or Seth Rogen or even like Will Ferrell, or Will Ferrell's funny sometimes, though, to me. He can be funny, but most of those guys, I'm not really a fan of like Superbad or the Hangover movies, or, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Knocked Up, stuff like that. I'm not really into the modern comedy. I think the funniest movie I saw in more recent times was Deadpool, so do with that what you will. But yeah, I like a lot of the classic, comedic duos like Laurel and Hardy and Abbott Costello, like I said. Yeah, of course, the Three Stooges are hilarious, like I said. Jim Carrey, Eddie Murphy, two of the funniest people who ever lived. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out. There's just so many great ones. So many really, really funny people. So many great comedians. I got to mention Chris Farley one more time. He was a riot. I'm sure I left some people out, but those are a few of my favorites. They also like Jerry Seinfeld and stuff. I used to watch Seinfeld a lot when it was on. People like that. He also asked, if you were a hot dog and you were starving, would you eat yourself? Well, I guess so. I love hot dogs, and, I guess I'd have to resort to cannibalism to survive, I guess. I don't know. Kind of a unique question. Also, if the moon were made of cheese, would you eat it? Well, cheese, I'm a huge cheese addict. I love cheese. And when I order a pizza, I usually get just cheese because I feel like the other ingredients just take away from the cheese. They distract from the cheese. I'm a cheese guy. I eat squeezed cheese on crackers. I love cheese, so... and the moon is pretty big, so that'd be a lot of cheese, but I think I could do it. I think I could eat the entire moon if it were made of cheese. Because as I said, I love cheese, and I get the Triscuits and the squeezed cheese, and like I get it I need a big barrel of it because it's never enough. I have to get like 3 cans of squeezed cheese, and it's still not enough. I love cheese, so yeah. You answer your question, yeah. What was your favorite concert you attended? This is also another one asked by John Lives. He has quite a few questions, so. Favorite concert? It's a tough one because I saw Black Sabbath, which is my favorite band of all time, with Ozzy. Bill Ward wasn't there, unfortunately, but they put on a hell of a show. But I also really liked the concert I saw with Slayer. This was back before Jeff Hanneman died, and back when they had Dave Lombardo on drums. Dave Lombardo is my favorite drummer. Now they have Paul Bostaph. Gary Holt from Exodus is filling. He replaced Hanneman after Hanneman passed. So they're a very different band now. Though Kerry King's still there. As long as Kerry King is there, it'd still be Slayer. But but they put on a hell of a show. So I don't know. It's a kind of tough one between those two. Take your pick, either Black Sabbath or Slayer. I've seen a lot of my favorite bands live. A lot of them put on a good shows, but I think I can narrow it down to those two. Probably my favorite band of all time, and then Slayer's probably my favorite thrash metal band. So, he also, what's your favorite Melvins album? Let's just go with all of them. They're all good. Take your pick. And he asks, do you prefer Alien or Aliens? Good question. That's a hard one. Either way, you can't go wrong. These are definitely by far the two best movies in the franchise, so you can't go wrong either way. I think if I had to pick one, I think I'll go with Aliens, especially the director's cut, the special edition. But it depends on what you're in the mood for. This one was scarier. It had better suspense, better scares. It was more slower paced. It was definitely more of a horror film. This one's more action-packed, more entertaining. Had better characters. But I think Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley was way more badass in this one. Also had Michael Biehn and Bill Paxton. It was just an action-packed, really fun, high adrenaline adventure. So I'm going to go with Aliens. Plus, James Cameron's one of my favorite directors of all time. Then again, Ridley Scott is also extremely talented, so really can't go wrong with either one. But he did say, which one do you prefer, Alien or Aliens? So these are definitely the two best, as I said, of the series. You can't go wrong with either one, but I think I'll go with Aliens overall, at least right now. But again, it depends on what you're in the mood for, but I'll go ahead and answer by saying Aliens. Okay, that was all his questions. Daniel K. asked, what are your thoughts on Repentless by Slayer? Okay, now, I thought this was a very good album. It was the first one to feature Gary Holt's guitar playing after Jeff Hanneman sadly passed, and also, I believe this was after Dave Lombardo left and Paul Bostaph came back aboard. He's been in the band, in and out of the band before. He's replaced Lombardo a couple times before, so it's like a completely new member. Do I have that right, or was this after Lombardo left? Okay, yeah, it was Paul Bostaph who played drums on this album. I thought it was really good. I thought it was better than World Painted Blood, honestly, and maybe even better than Christ Illusion. I don't know. It's a tough. I thought it was really good. As far as their recent albums go, this is one of the better ones. I liked Repentless a lot. I thought it was pretty good. Not my favorite of the Big Four's recent albums. That would have to be For All Kings by Anthrax. Hardwired by Metallica was good too. And Dystopia by Megadeth. Is that their newest one? I don't know. They put out albums so often, I can never keep track of them. They put out a different album each year, it seems like. They've got the most albums out of all the Big Four thrash bands. But yeah, I thought Repentless was really good. I dug it a lot. And I think Gary Holt's a really good fit for the band. I think he might be technically superior on guitar than Kerry King and Hanneman. Now, they were such a huge part of Slayer's sound. A lot of people think that Slayer lacks lead guitar playing. Their solos are sloppy and unstructured. I don't care. I think it makes them sound awesome and unique, so maybe I'm a little biased, I don't know. But I think Gary Holt might be a little, he might have surpassed them a little bit. He might be a better guitar player. I love Exodus as well. But I think Slayer's a better band, so I think he was a good fit. I wish Hanneman hadn't died, of course, but if they did had to get somebody to replace him, I think Gary Holt was a good fit for the band. So, yeah, overall, I give it a thumbs up. I say it rocks. So check out Repentless by Slayer. Slayer rules. And that album's no exception. He also asked, what are your thoughts on I Am Ozzy by Ozzy Osbourne? That's the autobiography that Ozzy wrote. And it's a very informative book. Very well written. Very interesting read. Let's see. It was co-written with Chris Ayers. And yeah, little Ozzy, little John Osborne. Very interesting, yeah, the history of Black Sabbath, the whole, when he was first kicked out of the band, when he started his solo project with Randy Rhoads and, Bob Daisley, that whole controversy. Very, very interesting chronicling of the events that went down in his life. He has some really hilarious and very interesting stories to tell. He's been through a lot, and he has had quite some interesting experiences as well. He's had a lot of adventures, and I don't know how he's still alive. After reading this book, wow, all the drugs he did, all the crazy daredevil-like shit that he did. Wow, all the times he abused his body, the STDs, the drugs, the crazy stunts. He was hardly ever sober in his life. He should have died 100 times. It's a miracle that he's still alive. But I love reading it. It's definitely a great read. I recommend it for any fans of Black Sabbath or Ozzy, or just a fan of music in general, or somebody who just wants to read a really funny, really exciting book with a lot of crazy stories. I also have Tony Iommi's biography, Iron Man, over here somewhere, which is a great read as well. It's kind of the first, the Black Sabbath segment anyway. It's kind of the same story from a different point of view. So if you already read I Am Ozzy and you read this, it's pretty interesting to see, two different sides of that story. Yeah, he has some great stories as well. I think the I Am Ozzy one's a slightly more intricate read, but Tony Iommi's like my hero and one of my favorite guitarists, and hell, he's the godfather of heavy metal. He's responsible for metal as we know it today, so I think this is a great read as well. You can't go wrong with either book. I highly recommend them both. But yeah, as for my thoughts on I Am Ozzy, I think it's very well done and a great read, so I highly recommend it. All right, now Spy the Fly wants to know, what is your favorite slasher villain, MCU movie, and TV series? All right, well, let's start with my favorite slasher villain. Now, I think Michael Myers, when he's done properly, is my favorite slasher villain. He's just like pure evil on two legs. He has like, no conscience. He's totally unrelatable. He's just pure evil. He wants to kill people. We don't know why he does what he does, but whenever they give him a motive or they give him like an origin, like in Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, where he's a pawn being controlled by a cult of druids and all that stuff, that, you know, the ritual, the festival of Samhain and all that stuff, and then in Rob Zombie's movies where he comes from a white trash family and he was abused and has a mean, abusive stepdad. He was bullied and his mom's a stripper. I don't like when they give him a motivation. I think he's a lot easier to screw up. So when Michael Myers is done right, he's my favorite. But when not, I'd say Jason Voorhees has been the most consistent. I know he turned into a demonic worm that could jump from body to body, and he could only be reborn by going into his sister's through his sister's snatch, and then he was killed by a mystical dagger. I know he was made into a cyborg too, and I know he's been like his mythology has been screwed with a little bit, but I think he's been a more consistent character, and I think the Friday the 13th series is my favorite horror series because it's so consistent. They haven't really butchered the character as much as Michael, despite going through some pretty big changes here and there, some pretty prominent changes to the mythology. But I'd say Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers. It depends on how you look at it. Michael Myers, when he's done properly, like in the very first Halloween, he's probably my favorite. Hell, even Halloween 2. But Jason is really interesting as well because all the stuff he's been through. He's been stabbed, he's been shot, he drowned, he's been burned, he's been electrocuted, he's been melted by toxic waste, he's been sent to hell, he's went to space, he's become a cyborg, he's been burned up in the atmosphere. He's gone through all this stuff and he keeps coming back. A lot of people think that that's their biggest problem. Oh, they kill him and he comes back every time. Well, I think that's what makes him so interesting. He's so unstoppable. No matter what you do, he's always coming back and he's always killing people and he's more territorial. With Michael Myers, if you're not related to him, if you're not akin to him, stay out of his way, you're pretty much safe. But however, he does come to you. He comes to the neighborhood, whereas with Jason, you kind of come to him. You go in his you go to Crystal Lake. If you're in his neck of the woods, you're going to get slaughtered, especially if you're too busy having sex and smoking pot. So it's a tough one, but I think I'll go with Michael Myers overall. However, I really respect Jason Voorhees as well. And Leatherface is great too because he's so realistic. He's like that sort of thing has happened. There are people like him in real life. Like Ed Gein was like a real life Leatherface, and that's where the inspiration came from. And Freddy's cool too. But I'll either go with Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees. It's a close one for the reasons I've listed. Okay, MCU movie, probably either The Avengers, which I thought was really good. Let's go with The Avengers because it had all the characters. It had Iron Man and the Hulk and Captain America and Thor. It had pretty much the best of everything. Loki was a great villain. I just saw Thor Ragnarok earlier today. I thought it was really good. I highly recommend it. Definitely see Thor Ragnarok. The Hulk was in it. He's my second favorite Marvel guy next to Spider-Man, and he actually talked a lot. He had a lot of dialogue, as the Hulk, too, not just Bruce Banner. So they finally got that right. He had a really big part, too. I wish they'd make a solo Hulk film, but that was kind of the next best thing. So yeah, Thor Ragnarok was really good, too. That's up there. I also really like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War. They were both done really well. The first Iron Man was good. The second one, I thought there was too much time spent with Tony Stark out of the armor, just like being drunk and acting like a jackass and chewing on scenery. And then Iron Man 3, what they did to the Mandarin was unforgivable. And so Spider-Man's my favorite Marvel character. Homecoming was good, but I had a lot of issues with it. I had a lot of problems. See my Homecoming review for more info. I was a little too hard on it, a little too critical. Maybe it'll grow on me, I don't know. But I'm going to go with The Avengers overall. That was a good one. I like The Incredible Hulk, too. I thought that was underrated. I thought that was pretty well done. And yeah, the Thor movies are good too. Doctor Strange was good. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 were really good. They're all done pretty good. I don't think there was one that I really hated. I don't think there was one that was terrible. I think they've all been really good so far, which is more than I can say for the DC universe, which had kind of a rocky start. But I think they're getting their stuff together too. Wonder Woman was really good. So yeah, favorite MCU movie, Marvel Cinematic Universe, if you didn't know, The Avengers. Favorite TV series, that's hard. Do you mean like sitcoms, or I grew up watching Seinfeld and Married with Children, and I'm a huge fan of The Big Bang Theory. I think that show's hilarious. I'd love to hang out with those guys. I have a lot in common with them. And I also watched True Blood when it was on. It was current and Dexter. I followed those two shows religiously. I watched them whenever they came on. I thought they were both really good. I didn't like the way either show ended, for the record. And I really love Stranger Things. Stranger Things is really good. It takes place in the 80s, which is my favorite decade. It has a lot of great 80s references, great characters, a great premise, too. So definitely check out Stranger Things. It even has Sean Astin from the Goonies. It's pretty much a love letter to those type of movies from back then. So I love all the kids. So Stranger Things is a great show too. But yeah, as far as sitcoms and stuff go, yeah, Married to Children is probably my favorite of all time. Also a lot of cartoons, of course. I grew up with cartoons. I watched Rocko's Modern Life and All Real Monsters, Rugrats, Doug. I grew up with all that stuff. All the Dexter's Laboratory. Stuff like all those Cartoon Network shows. Johnny Bravo, all that stuff. And then, of course, the Hanna-Barbera cartoons of the 70s, Scooby-Doo, Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Bear, the Flintstones. I love all that stuff. The Looney Tunes, the Warner Brothers, the Looney Tunes, the cartoons, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig. I love all that stuff. And a lot of the 80s cartoons, which I also grew up with, of course, He-Man, Transformers, Thundercats, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, love all that stuff. I have a lot of favorite cartoons. Batman, the animated series, the X-Men 90s TV show, the Spider-Man TV show from the 90s. So many great cartoons. But if you're talking about live-action television, yeah. For sitcoms, Married to Children or Big Bang Theory. But for, like, serious, like, TV series, I also like The Walking Dead and American Horror Story. Game of Thrones is really good. I never finished Gotham or Flash or Arrow or Daredevil. I need to watch those, definitely. I was going to watch Bates Motel, but I heard Rihanna was playing Marion Crane, so I'll pass on that. But there's so many great shows out now. This is kind of like the golden age of television. But I also love the 60s sitcoms like Gilligan's Island, Beverly Hillbillies, The Munsters, The Addams Family. Oh, gosh, Andy Griffith, The Dick Van Dyke Show. I Love Lucy. There's so much great TV. I've always been a TV. I've watched TV. The TV pretty much raised me, okay? When I was a kid, the TV was always on. And, it's so many great shows. I'm sure I left a lot of them out. Yeah, great cartoons, great sitcoms, yeah, all that stuff. It's all great. But number one favorite TV series, that's hard because it depends on what you're looking at. Sitcoms or, or serious, TV series that are, like networking and stuff. Okay, let's move on. DVD Guy 101 asked, what do you think of metal singers becoming Christians and not playing some of their old songs? Well, I mean, to each their own. They find God and they become really religious, and I mean that's great. If that's that's what gets you for life. I'm a really live and let live kind of guy. Whatever you believe, as long as you're not harming anybody, as long as you're not like hurting somebody physically or mentally, I think do whatever you want. I think that's great that they have religion and that gives them hope. And however, I don't really I like Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. He doesn't play a lot of his old songs, and he refused to tour with a band called Rotting Christ. I don't know. I think that if it does affect the music a lot, it changes their songwriting a lot. A lot of people, and a lot of comedians too, like when they found God, they kind of, I don't know, they weren't as funny. And like I feel like musicians, like kind of, I don't know, it made them less creative sometimes. But then again, there's probably a lot of lyrics that are have religious things that are really good too, so it's pretty much subjective. Depends on the band, I guess. I don't agree with them not playing their old songs. I think they should always play the classics. Definitely play what the fans want to hear. Hell, I mean, if it's that big of a deal, I guess change the lyrics, which I also don't think is a good option. But but if they want to become whatever they want to believe in, I think that's fine. More power to them. That doesn't bother me at all. But yeah, they should definitely play all their songs. So I'm kind of mixed on that one. I should probably spend more time on that, but we need to move on because I have a lot more questions. Connor Rogerson asked, he wants to know, who's your favorite Bond villain, male and female? Well, for male, definitely Ernst Stavro Blofeld, whether he's played by Donald Pleasance or Telly Savalas or Charles Gray or Anthony Dawson or Eric Pullman. I even thought Christoph Waltz was really good in Spectre, and Max von Sydow, who's in Never Say Never Again, which wasn't really part of the official Bond series, but did have Sean Connery. He's definitely the biggest threat that Bond's ever faced. He's definitely his all-time ultimate nemesis. As for female, probably either Rosa Klebb from Russia with Love or Irma Bunt. Either one of those two. Also, yeah, some of the hench women, like, I guess Pussy Galore, but yeah, a lot of them turned good. And then that one woman, lady, something, and Goldeneye, the one who would squeeze people to death. Her name escapes me at the moment, but yeah, she was good too. But kind of more a henchwoman. But yeah, definitely Ernst Everett Blofeld overall. He's definitely the number one Bond villain, and no matter and the Donald Pleasance and Telly Savalas versions are the best. Tales from the Crypt fan asked, "How did you get the name Hellhound?" Well, I was in a band back in high school. And we were in a band called the Horror Show, ironically enough, because when I first started this show, it was called the Horror and Metal Show, because I didn't know what else to call it. And so we all had our little monikers. We had Psycho on lead vocals, we had Carnage on guitar, we had me on guitar, Shadow on bass, Nightmare on drums. Then they left and they were replaced by Skull on bass and Lizard on drums, and I was Hellhound, and that was the name I came up with. I once went into a church wearing like all black makeup, black nail polish, black lipstick, black eyeliner, all the whole 9 yards, and I was such a little tool, but I was just such a poser. I talked about being satanic and stuff. I was just an idiot. I was young and stupid, but and somebody said something like the Hounds of Hell wouldn't have done. I can't remember. Somebody said something like, I don't remember what the exact sentence was. I thought, okay, and so I came up with the name Hellhound for our band. If you're interested, here's some pictures of me when I was in high school when I first went by Hellhound. I don't know if you care about this or not, but yeah, I was a young teenage me. This was when I first got my Jackson. There's a band. That was actually the band I was in. The Horror Show actually became Dying Immortality. It was still a band. We had the same bass player right there and the lead guitarist. I was on rhythm guitar, as I said. This is before we had a drummer and a vocalist. It was Dying Immortality. We still had those names for all, but then we dropped the stage names. We dropped the aliases. I was no longer Hellhound. I started using my real name. There's me with a couple of my guitars, me with some women, there's me in prom, ex-fiance. Yeah, some old pictures. If you're interested. There's me playing bass at the first show I ever performed. I was in a death metal band called Graveyard Feast, and I didn't go by the name Hellhound there either. I didn't have the stage. I didn't think it was necessary to go under a moniker. There's me after that show. There's me where I cut all my hair off. But yeah, that's when I started going by when I was like 16. And I'd already been playing guitar for a while, and that was like kind of the first real band I was in. I'd played with some other guys before. That was like the first serious band that I actually went somewhere and actually did something. But then that band turned into this band, and this band formed from the ashes of that band. A lot of the same members from Dying Immortality formed Graveyard Feast, which is the one I showed you. I actually played bass at that point. I switched to bass for a while, but then I switched back to guitar. So that's how I got the name Hellhound. People called me that all throughout school, even after those bands ended. People still call me that. And so when I started doing this show on YouTube, when I started Dead Level Discussions with my buddy Spellbinder, he had a name, and I was going by the moniker the Horror and Metal Guy, which sounds stupid as hell. And so I was like, I'm just gonna go by Hellhound again. People already know me as that anyway. I have a history with that alias, so might as well just use Hellhound. Okay, we're getting kind of... I didn't want this to go over 20 minutes, so let's kind of wrap this up. Thrash Guitarist 87 wanted to know, how long have you been playing guitar, and what are you up to as a musician? I've been playing guitar for about 15 years. I'm not really doing anything right now. I'm not in any bands or anything. I was in a band called Dismal Descent. I was on rhythm guitar, and for a while it was just me, a lead guitarist, and a bassist, and we were playing with a drum machine. And sometimes I would do the vocals, sometimes the bass player would do the vocals. I think we even had the lead guitarist do vocal. Like all three of us kind of split vocal duties. Then we did find a vocalist for a while, but it didn't work out. And then both of them, the lead guitarist moved away to Kentucky, which is really far from where I'm at. And then the bassist actually moved like 20 minutes away, and we just kind of, I don't know, we just kind of stopped getting together. So that was the last band I was in. It was called Dismal Descent. It was called Sordid Spell originally, but we changed the name Dismal Descent and kind of took it in a more death metal direction, whereas it started kind of more thrashy. So I'm not really up to anything right now. I still play guitar here now. I've actually been doing some acoustic stuff, but I have recorded a lot of things just myself, me doing everything, me doing the guitar tracks, playing guitar, playing bass, using a drum machine, downloading like a drum beats, like using a drum box, and then mostly instrumental stuff. But here and one I'll do some vocals as well. My own singing here and there, but a lot of instrumental stuff. And my buddy Dr. Guts, we actually jammed before, and we always talk about someday we'll maybe do a band. He'll play lead, and I'll play rhythm, and maybe do some vocals, So yeah, I'm not really in any bands or anything. I'm not really playing with anybody else, but I kind of a jam here and there. I'm getting into some acoustic stuff, like I said. I kind of like to start a little acoustic group, just kind of playing unplugged, be kind of nice. A lot less heavy than some of the stuff I did in the past. So, but I'm usually in a band. I'm usually either the rhythm guitarist, and I switched to bass for a while too, but I always go back to guitar. I've actually been in two different bands where I was the sole guitarist, Screaming Carcass and Demented Saint. I was the only guitarist, so I wasn't really comfortable playing lead. I could play the riffs, I can tremolo pick really fast, I can do the solos, I can't really make all the notes sound. I can shred pretty fast, but I'm way more comfortable playing rhythm. Like, we were looking for a flashy lead guitarist the whole time. We didn't have a vocalist either, so again, the bass player and I were sharing vocal duties. We're a three-piece, so I'm most comfortable playing rhythm guitar and writing all the lyrics. Usually every band I've been, no matter what singer we've had, I wrote all the lyrics. I can write lyrics all day. I'm always writing something. I've always been a writer. I love writing. So yeah, I'm usually like the rhythm guitarist and lyricist. Sometimes I play bass, and sometimes I play lead when we can't find anybody else. But it's always just usually for fun anyway. I've been in a lot of bands. I've played a lot of shows. I've done a lot of music, and I've produced bands too. I've produced a lot of albums. I have kind of I don't have my own studio or my own mixing board. I have kind of a ghetto setup, but it gets the job done. It's a very raw sound, but I wish I did have my own studio. I know my way around a mixing board, so I've produced several bands around the area. Well, not several, maybe like 5 or 6, but I've produced albums, local bands, so I'm always doing something musically, whether it's just me playing acoustic guitar or hooking up my Gibson in my room, or my Ibanez, or whatever, but I'm always doing something, but I haven't really been playing with people very much. Okay, let's move on. That was Thrash Guitarist 87's question. That's what I'm up to, musician, not really much, but still playing guitar here and there. Jason the Fanatic 2003 asked, what are your top 5 films? Let's go with Evil Dead 2, Return of the Living Dead, Fright Night, Reanimator, and the original Halloween. Let's go with that for now. And I mean the original Fright Night, by the way, too, in case you're wondering. Let's go with those for now. They always change, but those are my top 5 for now. And for more info, see my top 10 favorite movies video. So yeah, Jason Vanek 2003, those are my top 5 films, at least at the moment. Oh, by the way, if I didn't get to your question or you hadn't answered a question in time, I will be doing another Q&A video sometime in the future, so this won't be the last one. So if you didn't meet the deadline or whatever, don't worry, I'll be doing this again. Or I can answer your questions in the comments like I always do. We have some fun discussions like we always do. Okay, one final question, one final person. Andrew asked, his name's just Andrew, I guess, where did you get your posters, and are you getting the new Cannibal Corpse album, Red Before Black? My posters come from many different places. I've actually been to Albuquerque, New Mexico, the big city, and I've been to Chicago, Illinois. I got posters from there. I had a Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan poster. I actually ended up giving that to my old roommate. He has it now, but I got that from Chicago, and I got that Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 poster back there. I got that from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yeah, I order from the internet. I get them from stores. There's all kinds of places I get them. Mostly they came from the internet. But I used to get some from Suncoast Video. That was a movie store that used to be in various malls. There's also Sam Goody and Tape Heads and a few other music and movie stores that had posters, and I've just got them all over. They come from all over. But every once in a while, I'll get some at Walmart, like my Star Wars poster, my Batman poster, my Marvel Heroes poster. But I had a Metallica Kill 'Em All poster as well that I got from a independent record store called Budget Tapes and Records, and that was in the outskirts of the big city as well. So yeah, I get my posters from various places, mostly from the internet though. And his final question: are you getting the new Cannibal Corpse album, Red Before Black? I really like it so far. Code of the Slashers and the title track, Red Before Black, are both great songs. The album art, I thought it was kind of boring at first. It's just a guy with a white shirt stabbing somebody with blood splatter. There's not really any real gore. It's very bloody, but not very gory. It's kind of like tame for Cannibal Corpse standards. But then again, it's a lot better than the cover for Kill, which is just Kill and Begwars, and Evisceration Plague, which is another boring cover. I thought Torture was a really awesome cover, Return to Form, and Skeletal Domain. I thought Torture and Skeletal Domain were really good albums, way better than Kill and Evisceration Plague anyway. And Red Before Black is no exception. It's also really good. I'm definitely going to give the album. I've been listening to a lot of Cannibal Corpse lately. I've actually watched Centuries of Torment, the documentary, earlier today for like the 1,000th time. I love that band. I think they're awesome. They're one of my favorite death metal bands. I think a lot of people give them crap because they're the most well-known, they're the most commercial, which is weird when you think about it. They're like the Metallica of death metal. I don't know how. They never sold out or changed their style. They've always been... they're a little less brutal than they used to be, I think, but they're still very much Cannibal Corpse. They're still very much death metal. They're the band that got me into death metal. I'm a huge fan. Love Cannibal Corpse. I need to review some more of their albums. I have reviewed The Wretched Spawn. I need to review Tomb of the Mutilated, which is my favorite. And yes, I'll definitely be getting the new album, Red Before Black, and I like what I heard so far. Code of the Slashers is such a great title. They should have called the album that, Code of the Slasher. That sounds way better than just, Red Before Black. And yeah, the album cover was kind of, I thought it was boring first, but it's kind of grown on me. It's just like a light, really bloody. It's definitely not their most violent one. It's their most brutal, most graphic, most gruesome covers. Probably either Butchered at Birth or Tomb of the Mutilated. I mean, those are just delightfully sick. Very wicked stuff. Yeah, love me some Cannibal Corpse. I've been listening to them a lot lately, and Red Before Black, I like what I've heard so far, and I'll definitely be getting it. I'm also really excited for the upcoming Morbid Angel album. Shoot, I already forgot the name. Kingdom Condemned or something. Kingdom something. Let me look it up real quick. It's got the return of Steve Tucker, which is the right thing to do, because the last album they did with David Vincent, whose voice isn't at all what it once was. It's definitely a step in the right direction. They've released one song, and I heard it, and it rocked. It was way better than anything from Elude, Dividend, and Sanus, which was kind of the Saint Anger of death metal. We just look at the Kingdom's Disdain. I was close. I knew it had to start with a K because they always did an alphabetical thing. And Elude, their last album was actually an I, but they had a live album called Juvenilia, which is like I think it was an old recording back when the early days. I don't know. Like around the Altars of Madness or Blessed of the Sick era, but that was their J album. So Kingdom Disdain is their upcoming album. I'm excited for that too. All right, guys. I guess I answered. I guess that's all the questions. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'll do another Q&A video someday. I didn't really want this video to go 30 minutes, but I guess I rambled on a lot and had a lot to say. So I wanted to do every question justice. I didn't want to just give an answer and that's it. I wanted to explain my reasoning and everything. All right, guys. I'm Hellhound. Thank you for watching. Let's continue to have some great times with this channel and everything. And if you guys want me to watch any of your videos, either the channel on here or anything, let me know in the comments. I'll be sure to check it out. I'll let you know what I think. I've had a few people message me asking about reviewing. They're in a band and they asked me to review their albums for them, and I'll definitely be getting to that. So if that was you that asked me, I will be getting to those as well. And also there's some people who wanted some of my videos or movie reviews featured on like their show or something, and like I approve any of that. If you want to use any footage of me, my opinions or reviews or whatever, you have my permission to do so. So I'm Hellhound. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Later.